So I reacted to Game 5, gave a little bit of a thing for Game 6, but now we just focus on only Game 6. And the first thing to think about for me was Duncan Robinson's threes. I took a look at them, and you could argue kind of none of them were that well contested. A few of them were really bad. One, Danny Green just fell asleep. Another one, KCP fell asleep. Another one, KCP and Caruso ran into each other. There was one where Rondo got stuck in no man's land in transition. Another where KCP went for a defensive rebound, couldn't get it, and then Robinson was right there. There was the Kuzma foul, which, I mean, if Kuzma doesn't foul him, I guess it's not a horrible contest, but it's not what happened. And then there was another where you could say it was kind of well contested. Robinson made it over like two guys or whatever. So that's the first thing for the Lakers. You just can't screw up when guarding Robinson. You got to be glued to him at all times. You can't get stuck ball watching, and if you're going to help out in a defensive rebound, you better get it. Now, I assume Robinson is going to be playing about where he played in the last game in terms of minutes, 37 minutes, and a lot of possessions with him moving around. And yeah, it's tough to ask a team to not mess up on almost 100% of those, but them's the breaks, man. I mean, this is the NBA Finals. It's Game 6. That's how it goes if you want to win. Is there a chance that Frank Vogel does not start Danny Green or KCP? I wouldn't imagine so. I feel like that's just how it's going to be for the rest of the series. If there was a potential lineup change to be made, if you were going to look at the on-off stuff, the lineup numbers, all that, the guy to suggest pulling would be Dwight. Dwight's net rating in this series is -10. Basically, when he's in the game, the Lakers are bad. When he's out of the game, they're way better than Miami. Now, whether that's directly Dwight's fault or not, I don't know. I mean, I've taken a look at what I can of Game 5 again and some of Dwight's minutes, and Miami does certainly go at him. The first play of the game, Bam gets an alley-oop because Dwight, he commits to the ball handler, and you could argue it was somebody else's rotation to get Bam, but, I mean, Miami, they go at him there. Another play, Dwight just goes for a Tyler Hero pump fake when Hero doesn't even pump fake, and he takes himself out of the play. And again, they've been bad with him. I mean, basically, of all the Lakers dudes who are getting regular minutes, the only one who's a big negative is Dwight. Everybody else is either super positive, relatively positive, whatever it may be. And Dwight spends a good chunk of his time playing with LeBron and AD, so yeah. Does that mean that it should just be Anthony Davis at center right from the beginning of the game? Maybe. Or if anything, Dwight just doesn't play a crap ton. Now, there's a chance that you just don't agree with the numbers. I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence that Dwight is the one guy who makes the Lakers way worse in this series. And maybe you think that they should just keep playing him and eventually the numbers will fall back down to earth. I don't know. I mean, Dwight certainly makes them really, really big. That's obvious. And Dwight at least forced Jimmy into one tough mid-ranger last night, and he made it, and we can talk about Jimmy's mid-range shooting a little bit more and if the Lakers have any other options, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's now time to just bust out AD at center for the whole game. I mean, he's still playing center for the majority of the time, but you know, in tough playoff series, we can see that the difference between a guy playing 15 minutes and a guy playing 7 can be crucial, right? And that guy being Dwight, of course. I mean, if AD is at center, is it possible the Lakers could bust out what they did against Houston, where they would trap Jimmy and then chase out to shooters and just fly around the floor a little bit? I think so, but at the same time, Miami's offense is more complex than Houston's. It's not as easy to just do that, because for one, Jimmy will do something off the ball, whereas Harden, once he passes it out, he would just kind of stand there and not do anything. Also, the Lakers don't have the luxury of leaving Westbrook open, unless you want to say that Jay Crowder is that guy. I don't know, but part of the reason why I picked the Lakers to win this series, besides the obvious stuff, was that whatever they needed to do defensively in the last two playoff series, they did it. Whether it was have two bigs, have one big, and I just feel like with where we are right now with this Game 6 coming up, it's still a little murky as to what the right option is. I mean, is trapping Jimmy possible? Because with where Jimmy's at now, I mean, nothing's working, pretty much. They dared him to take jumpers and kind of go under the screen in the last game, and you could say it worked. They won the game. Jimmy didn't destroy them. In this game, Jimmy just took more pull-ups, or Jimmy set a screen himself sometimes, or he used a misdirection on the screen where, it acted like he's going to use it and then he just goes the other way. But even with all that, sometimes Jimmy's just making really tough mid-rangers, and you can say to yourself, oh, that's okay, we'll take that shot. Well, I mean, we're up to Game 6 now. At a certain point, you might just have to make the guy uncomfortable as possible, which may mean just bring a second defender on him. I mean, they've been doing the AD thing, and I think it worked better in the last game, although I don't have any actual numbers for it. But Jimmy still made shots over AD. So, does that mean LeBron's got to be on Jimmy? I don't know. I mean, it might be too much to ask of LeBron to do all that, but maybe a little bit more. I mean, LeBron clearly spent a lot of his energy in the last game on offense, and maybe in this upcoming game he's got to spend more of it defensively and just being on Jimmy. Even as I say that, I'm pretty sure there was a possession late in Game 5 where Jimmy got by LeBron in kind of a straight line. It was one of those where he rejected the screen type of things, or it was when Crowder set a screen, but it wasn't a normal screen because it was like basically behind LeBron as opposed to his side. One random other thing is, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Miami has been playing conventional pick and roll defense whenever Rondo gets a screen from AD. They don't do it with LeBron, but with Rondo they do. And that could be the potential for some sort of easy buckets, whether it's Rondo going downhill or a lob up to AD or something. The problem there is you don't want to do that too many times, because at a certain point it becomes a bunch of plays for Rondo and not a bunch of plays for LeBron. Could we see LeBron setting screens or doing a little bit of what he did earlier in the series when Miami was doing the zone defense more? Yeah, potentially. I mean, I wouldn't expect it a whole lot, but there's always value in LeBron doing something off the ball. The one other frightening thing for the Lakers, besides AD's heel, ankle, whatever it is Bam still hurt a little bit? I don't know. I mean, he hasn't been great since coming back. I mean, he's certainly been good, and Miami's been desperate to have him, but he hasn't exactly looked like the Bam that was going up against the Celtics, and you could give credit to LeBron, who's been on him sometimes. If you want to push back on my Dwight is killing the Lakers thing, then you could say Dwight has been on Bam for some of that, AD. But you could also say that Bam has just not been totally healthy. And if he's going to suddenly come back with some 20-point game in Game 6, then that could be not a great look for the Lakers. Now, at the same time, I think Miami would have to make more of an emphasis to get him going and have him setting screens and stuff. The thing is, though, if he's going to get screens from Jimmy, I feel like the Lakers could switch that, especially if it's LeBron and AD involved in the play, So, yeah, the gist of Game 6, are the Lakers going to do anything different to slow down Jimmy in terms of bringing extra defenders on him, or they're going to keep daring him to take these shots? Maybe they could do a better job of not fouling him. Are they not going to have these random moments where Duncan Robinson just gets free? Should they just stop messing around with the Dwight minutes and go right to AD at center? Is AD going to be feeling okay because of the heel or whatever it is? Should LeBron do a little bit more on defense? Is LeBron going to have to go supernova again for them to win? I don't know. Should be fun. As far as a prediction, I mean, you know what I'm going to say already. I think the Lakers will win. And I know I said after Game 5 last night that I said Game 6 will be close. And I might be digging myself a hole by saying this. But I kind of feel like the Lakers are going to win Game 6 in sort of convincing fashion. Not a blowout, but one of those close through 3/4, and then they pull away with about 5 minutes left to go in the fourth, that sort of thing. Because I think they're just going to be a little more locked in, as cliche as that sounds, to where they don't fall asleep on Duncan Robinson moving off the ball and that sort of stuff. But it should be good, and credit to Miami for making it this interesting. So yeah.